Having too much money in the bank could be costing you much more than you realize. Now, I understand that having a surplus can give a peace of mind, but there's also a downside to stockpiling money. So the question remains, what should you do with extra cash? In this video, we're going to discuss why people save too much money, all of the potential problems this causes, the top 4 ways that you can deploy some of your dry powder. Plus, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you my #1 secret to building wealth with this extra savings. If you're new to this channel, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist from Louisiana that helps other high income professionals reach financial independence by building massive streams of passive income. If you don't know much about how passive income works, well, you're in luck. I've put together a free guide that you can download by clicking the link below this video. So, why don't we do this? Why don't we start with why? Now, if you have too much money saved, then you should be asking yourself, why do I have all this extra money in the first place? So now you want to make sure that you haven't started, in the background missing any payments that you've originally scheduled. Maybe you have them on auto pay. Now, I've had something like this happen after we actually switched our credit cards. And the email to quote, update our payment information obviously slipped through the cracks. So what happened was these bills went unpaid for several months before I even realized it. So in this situation, you may be, maybe missing something as opposed to truly having extra cash. So here's a few questions to ask yourself regarding the why behind your cash surplus. Again, are you missing something? Has my income level changed significantly at any point? Now, even though I have excess money, is my debt increasing due to high interest rates? And are payments no longer being charged that were previously being made? Again, were they on auto pay? So, if answering these questions, any of these questions, you realize that yes, you do have a true cash surplus, then it's time to figure out what to do with it. So, question is, what's the big deal with holding cash? Well, the first downside of having too much money is opportunity cost. So, for example, you're not going to look back 10 years from now and regret not having this money invested for extra money. So, let's say, for instance, that you had an extra $100,000 that 10 years ago you wish you had invested in, let's just say something like a Vanguard mutual fund that's averaging 7%. So in this situation, your original investment would have actually grown to $196,000 total, that averages out to $1,633 per month in missed opportunity. Now, even though we're assuming a 7% rate of return, the market can return much higher returns, but there's also times that, of course, it'll be much lower than 7%. But don't let that short term uncertainty of returns actually keep you and holding you back from investing the cash that maybe you're not going to need anytime soon. So let's get into the 5 main ways that you can invest your cash surplus. #1, add to your emergency fund. So before trying to figure out what to do with your extra cash, make sure it's where it should be in the first place. Many financial experts out there, they actually recommend keeping between 3 to 6 months of living expenses in this emergency fund. Now, again, this account is strictly for when life throws you a curveball, like if your transmission goes out or if your HVAC system stops working in the summer, like ours did this year, actually 2 in 1 month. So now, how much you have sitting in the bank depends on your financial situation, and it also depends on your risk tolerance. So, for instance, if you're a 2 income household, then you may be able to get by with maybe only having 3 months of expenses saved up. And then if you're a 1 income household, it may be better off to have 6 months of living expenses saved up. Also, if you are a business owner or a practice owner like myself, you may want to consider having enough money on hand for future cash flow, again, just for peace of mind. Moving on to #2, get rid of consumer debt. One of the best uses for extra money is getting rid of any consumer debt that's hanging around your neck, especially high interest debt. This could include credit card debts, car loans, etc. Actually, some of the credit cards out there, they charge over 20%. So why have that hanging over your head when you have this extra cash in the bank to pay it off? Higher rates make your debt more expensive, and in the long run, you're actually going to be paying a lot more. So the longer those balances just sit and interest continues to accrue, the more that you're going to pay. Now, personally, as a periodontist, I know firsthand about debt, especially student loans. When I got out of training, I owed about $300,000 that I aggressively paid off in just under 7 years. So, if you have student loans with high interest rates, you may want to consider any extra cash sitting around to pay them off as well. Moving on to number three, max out any retirement accounts. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, out of 71% of workers that actually have access to some sort of employer sponsored retirement account, only about half of them actually invest in it. So if you're trying to decide the best strategy to use extra cash each month, then and you're not maxing out your retirement account, consider doing that, especially if you work for somebody and they give you some sort of match. So, for instance, if you make $50,000 a year and you contribute 3% of your salary, that's 1,500 bucks. While your employer, if they also match and they also do 3% match, that's another 1,500 bucks. So, why not take advantage of free money, right? Number four, invest for kids' college. So no matter what your kids' ages are, it's never too early to start saving for college. So in my opinion, one of the best ways to save for college is a 529 plan, which I've actually started when my kids were both of my kids were born. These plans are generally sponsored by state governments and they actually come with tax benefits as well. Many states are going to let you deduct your contributions from your state income tax as well for another added benefit. So, so now those are the four ways that what a typical financial planner would recommend that you do for excess cash. Again, there's nothing wrong with a fully funded emergency fund. There's nothing wrong with becoming consumer debt free. There's nothing wrong with maxing out your retirement account. And again, there's certainly nothing wrong with saving for your kids' potential college fees. This is what we've done in the past personally, but what about if you've gone down the line and you've completed all of these and you're like me and other people that come to this YouTube channel, you still have extra cash in the bank? Well, let me introduce you to the fifth and final way, my favorite, starting a future opportunity fund. So, for me personally, one of the best uses for excess cash was starting this fund. Now, this is nothing more than just establishing some type of account, like a brokerage account, like at Vanguard or Fidelity, and you put money in for just about anything that you want. It's allowed my wife and I to begin the process way back when we started on searching for financial freedom. So this is sort of our earmark financial freedom or financial independence fund. Let me ask you a question. What do most people invest in when it comes to retirement? Retirement accounts, right? 401k, IRA, those sorts of things. But what if you don't want to wait until you're 59 and a half to use it? What if you're like the hundreds of thousands of high income professionals, unfortunately, that are facing burnout and they want a career change or they want to retire early? What if you're in your 30s or 40s and a few years in the future, you want to maybe start a new business? Maybe you want to buy some rental property, or maybe you want to invest in assets that are going to create cash flow, that are going to create passive income. These are all examples of how you can use a future opportunity fund. Now, after we take care of all of the initial steps in our monthly investment strategy, then we can focus on funding this future opportunity fund. For my wife and I personally, we use this money for passive income creation, mainly with real estate syndications. I use this fund for self improvement, whether it be personal coaching, masterminds, meetings, etc. Also use it for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency to help the increase the store of value. So our cash just isn't just sitting there being devalued with inflation. So at least it's holding its value, and also for future business opportunities. So the good news about starting this type of fund is that at first you don't initially have to have any type of goal in mind. Like, okay, well, if I don't have a goal, then I don't need to start this. So don't do that. Just again, if you once you go through these 4 steps and you're doing these, boom, start your future opportunity fund. So you can also follow as I do and just, keep on a weekly or monthly basis, maybe even on a daily basis, just keep adding to it until the right opportunity actually presents itself. And then when that time comes, you'll have the appropriate funding sitting on the sidelines. Now, I mentioned earlier about our monthly investment strategy. And if you want to learn more about the steps that my wife and I take each month regarding our personal finances, then all you have to do is go over here and check out this video where I'm going to talk about how my wife and I invest for future wealth creation. I'll see you in this video.